So there is more news out there besides Trump. I know Trump likes to take the air out of the room, be the center of attention, but there is more news out there besides Trump. Like this story out of Gastonia, North Carolina. Now, this goes back to 2020. And I have a question for all you social justice warriors out there. How exactly is taking down a Confederate monument, because that's what this story is about, how exactly is taking down a Confederate statue, monument, flag, even a statue of George Washington or Thomas Jefferson, how exactly is that going to stop racism, discrimination, homophobia? I really think these people, these activists, light a candle to George Floyd at night and say a prayer. Dear George Floyd, give us the strength to take down one more Confederate monument, one more statue of Thomas Jefferson. In your name, amen. Seriously, I think that's what these people do. Do they not have anything better to do with their time? Now, this story is at Fox 8, North Carolina. It says here this is in Gastonia via Queen City News. So you have this activist group attempting to get a Confederate monument removed. Now, the monument, the statue sits in front of the Gastonia County Courthouse, and this fight to remove it goes back to the death of George Floyd, 2020. And according to activist Scotty Reed, quote, it's a signpost to white supremacy. The history is clear on it. Really, Mr. Reed? How do you know that it's a signpost to white supremacy? Because of a speech that Alexander Stephens gave? Well, it turns out that that speech was actually written down, not by Alexander Stephens, but by these news reporters, which was a common practice back in the day. And then he went back and later clarified what he said, I think a few years later. Now, Reed met fellow organizer Sierra Hall during a rally at the courthouse, where he started teaching demonstrators the history of the monument, its ties to white supremacy, and led the charge to get the county to remove it. So Reed and Hall, they organized these marches, circulated petitions, spoke out publicly to encourage Gaston County to form this council to vote on removing the monument. And the county voted 6-1 in 2020 to move it and hand it over to a pro-Confederate group to decide where to relocate it. And I can guarantee you, once this, because this is still being debated there in Gastonia, once these Confederate or pro-Confederate people get their hands on this monument and relocate it somewhere, you'll see these activists again demanding it be taken down, because that's what they do. So after a series of court hearings, Superior Court Judge Robert Irvin ruled that the courts did not have the authority to decide on a statue's removal. Only county leaders could do so. And Gaston County Commissioner Chad Brown responded, quote, he respects the judge's decision. I think the judge's ruling speaks for itself. At the end of the day, like I said, this right here was meant to commemorate the deaths of soldiers that followed in that war from Gaston County. And talked about how it was all about reverence, not necessarily about oppression. But as it turns out, there's a state law in North Carolina that prohibits the removal of objects of remembrance. And you have a similar fight going on in Jacksonville, Florida. Now, this goes back to December of last year, 2023. 122-year-old Confederate monument was ordered to be removed by Mayor Lenny Curry. Now, Curry vowed in front of protesters that he would order the removal of all remaining Confederate monuments in the city. Again, how exactly is this going to stop racism, sexism, homophobia? How is this going to solve this issue of interactions between police and minorities? But he backtracked on this decision. He's a Republican mayor now, when he originally avoided taking a stance on the issue. And after the local NFL team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and protesters joined forces demanding police reform, and address inequality, this mayor caved. Also talked about discrimination against the LGBTQ community. So it just never ends. It never ends with these people. They have to find a cause. But it seems like they never have a solution. They talk a big game, but they never come up with a solution. So let's say you take down this monument, okay? Take down this monument in Gastonia County. That's what they officially decide to do. And you decide to melt down this monument. After you protest that this pro-Confederate group has located it somewhere else, well, why are you using those materials? Wouldn't those materials be racist because they were originally used to build this monument? See, I don't get the logic here with these people. It's pretzel logic. It's pretzel logic. So I thought I'd share this story with you. Fight in Gastonia, North Carolina. I'm sure you're going to hear about this in the coming days, months, you name it, weeks. Trying to get this Confederate monument removed, but this Judge Irwin, has ordered that, or has said that the county, only the counties, not the courts, can decide whether or not it should be removed. It should always go back to the people. It should always go back to the people of the county, of the city, to decide whether or not these monuments should be removed. After all, it's the people who put those monuments up. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can also follow me at Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. Or you can find me at X, Culture Confederacy, at CultureConfed1 on X, another one-take video. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out, stay safe, everybody. God bless this thing called the United States. And you know how we do it here. This is where the past crashes with the present. I'll catch you next time, and I'll see you Sunday night.